Thank you. So I'm Dan Sulak. I'm with the Dairy Nutrient Management Program. I've met some of you, not everybody. I'm the newest member of the team over there. So I've been in the area for a little over a year. I do a handful of dairy inspections. Michael Eisenstein and Corey Love do more of them, actually. And then I'm also responsible for a lot of our water quality work that we do. So today we're going to talk about our record keeping requirements and how record keeping can help you guys as a farmer. So why keep records? I mean, I know a lot of you guys have been farming for a long time. Same fields, you know what needs to go on. You can probably pretty much do it by feel, and I don't doubt that. But really, records are there to tell your story to everybody else. So your records are going to show what you're doing to use the land, how you're managing resources, and what you're doing to protect the environment. So if any issues ever come up, you all are aware that agriculture in general and dairies can end up sort of under a microscope. And having those records there really protects you to show what it is that you're doing to protect water quality. Your records also can help you with your decision making. So you can look at different farming practices, what you put down on the field, and hopefully if you have good records and you're using those to manage your nutrients, that can also lead to cost savings. So another reason, of course, to keep records is it is required under our Washington State Code. So this is just the requirements that are there. I'll just point out that under the Revised Code of Washington 9064, it defines what the violation is. So you have to keep records for 5 years that show that you're using your nutrients in acceptable agronomic rates. So that's tying back into what Nicole was just saying. You got to use those nutrients in a way that you're, or apply those nutrients to your fields in a way that crops can take them up. And then in the Washington Administrative Code 16611 defines which records those are that are required in order to tell that story. So the necessary records that are part of the whole thing, it's really about the inputs and outputs of nutrients onto your fields. So that includes nutrient analysis for all your sources of manure or other nutrients that you put on the field, the applications, what you're putting out there, field soil tests so you know what's in the soil after the crops come, after you grow the crops and take them off, what's left on there. Any nutrients that you're exporting. So that kind of closes that whole gap of what's produced on the farm, what's coming on and going off. And then that's really the required ones. The last two I listed up there, crop yields. That's more of something for you that can really help kind of close that gap, tell that whole story of where those nutrients are going. And also the growing year conditions can really help fill that in too. If you have a whole bunch of high soil tests, maybe you had a drought year where you didn't get the yields you're expecting. And so maybe it was something out of your control, and having those records to back that up can really help you out. So we'll go through these a little bit more in depth, one by one. So for the nutrient analysis, you need to do all your sources. This ties in again to what Nicole was saying about how variable those different sources can be. And this is also one of the most commonly missed records that we see in our program, is that people will have their liquid manure analyzed for the year. But we also often see missed solids tests, so people aren't analyzing their solids. So you really need to get all those done. And just to point out an example, this is 3 different ponds. Let's see, where's it? Oh yeah, there we go. There it is. 3 different ponds on the same farm, same day. And you can see that there's twice as much nitrate, or ammonium nitrogen in one of those ponds as there is in some of the others. So it can really be pretty highly variable, even at the same time, different sources. And then also annually, as Nicole was saying, you want to test those throughout the year, ideally several tests throughout the year. Or we only require 1 test a year to meet our requirements. So another good option is to test at different times over different years. So you test in the spring 1 year, in the fall another, and in the summer another year. And that's just pointing this out here. So these are the same pond, 1 sample in July and 1 in October. And you got about 1.5 times the amount of ammonium nitrogen in the July sample. So it can really change depending on how much rain and everything else you've been getting. All right, so that's your nutrient analysis records. So once you got those, then you're going to apply all that manure to your fields, and you need to keep track of where it's going. So your field name and number, date that you put it out there, how it's going out, whether that's a splash blade or big gun, what's going out there, whether it's liquids, solids, like what pond it's from, the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus that are going out there. You hopefully want to calculate that so you know that you're putting on what your crops need. Why are you putting it out there? It's good to keep track of what's growing, what does it need. And irrigation is another one of the records that is required, and that's often missed too. It's really simple. A lot of times you guys know in your head, you're like, oh, I put an inch on that field, whatever. You just got to write it down, and that's it. So that's another part of the application record, really. Dive a little bit deeper into the applications. It's really, again, about those inputs and outputs. So for each field, each year, you want to know the total amount of nitrogen that you're putting on and phosphorus. You want to know the crop that's in there. Obviously, you're going to know that. And the nutrient needs of that crop. So you're putting on what is needed. You also want to keep track of what other nutrients might already be in that soil. So if you have residual nitrogen that's in there, if you've got high organic matters that are going to break down, if you previously had alfalfa or something in that field, you might have excess nitrate out there. So you want to know what's in the soil that you're applying to. Weather, this is the other big one that's often not recorded. So with all those applications, you do need to keep track of weather 24 hours before, so the day before you put it out there and the day of. And that's just recording the rainfall, and maybe it can be real simple, kind of temperature and rainfall. So really you want to be looking ahead at the weather, obviously, too, to see what's coming. This is just going to show and prove that you are being aware of the environmental conditions out there while you're applying. So that's the reason you need to keep that. You can use the ARM worksheets that Nicole just showed. Those are really helpful. That's a good way to do it. Any of your favorite forecast sites. This is the ag weather for Whatcom County. With all those new sites that are in there, you can find one of those that's pretty close to you and get the rainfall from there. And you can really record these however you want. Nice calendar is an easy way to go. If you have a rain gauge on your farm, it's all the better. You record daily rain and temperature, and then you'll have it no matter when you apply. Okay, so now you've got your nutrient analysis, your application records, and you've harvested your crops. So at the end of the year, you need to do soil tests. So we're looking at nitrate, nitrogen every year, and you want to test those. You want to make sure you have the appropriate timing, so it's obviously going to be after the harvest and everything comes off, and before a lot of rain's coming. So you can get that leaching out. You can lose a lot of nutrients if you wait until after rain. So up here, say, generally on the west side of the state, we're looking for those tests to be done before 3 inches of rain have fallen in the fall. And that'll help show what's actually there in the soil. Also, if you're going to do any applications, you want to wait 3 to 4 weeks after those applications for those nutrients to come back to sort of an equilibrium. You'll get a lot of different sort of evolution of those nutrients going between ammonium and nitrate, nitrogen, and some of it will be lost to volatilization. So after 3 to 4 weeks, you should be back into an equilibrium that shows what's really going on. The goal for the nitrate nitrogen that we use is 30 parts per million left in the soil after your harvests. Anything above that, it's starting to get a little high. That's about 100 pounds of nitrogen per acre that's left on there. So you'll see like these records here from this year, quite a few that were high. So if you're seeing that, you want to look back over your records and see what might be causing that. Maybe this was a dry year and you just didn't get the crop yields that were expected, so everything's a little bit high. It's kind of out of control where these records are from. If that's not the case, then you might want to think a little harder about what you were putting on that field and think about how you might make some changes the next year to start bringing those numbers down. Every third year, you need to do a full soil test. So this includes organic matter, pH, ammonium nitrogen as well as that nitrate nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, electrical conductivity. Those are the ones that we like to see, and then they generally come with a whole bunch of other stuff. All these soil tests are going to be for the first foot of the soil, 0 to 12 inches. Unless you're on a CAFO, then you have slightly different requirements. But in general, that's what most of you are going to be wanting to do there. All right, so one more piece that might be there to fully get all the inputs and outputs from your farm is keep track of your transfers. So if you're exporting any manure off the farm, you need to keep track of those just with the date and amount of transfer, the name and address of whoever is getting it, and all those need to have a nutrient analysis of what it was that you transferred off the farm, so that those records are fully, so you have a full accounting for all those nutrients. So that really covers the required nutrients, the required records, excuse me. Additionally, just something that can be really helpful, we think, for you guys to keep for yourself to fully tell that story is crop yields. And again, that kind of helps to show what's coming off. That kind of closes that full circle into like what was going on in the field, and then see what's coming back off of it in nutrients as well as just crops. Spring soil tests are a really good way to know what's left in the field when you get it back in the spring before you plant. So you know what you really need to apply to get the crops that you want to get out of that for whatever it is that you're growing. As far as how to keep your records, there's just any way you want to. It doesn't matter to us. If you want to dive in with some spreadsheets with all kinds of different calculations in there, that's great. If you want to look at that every day and do all that, then that's awesome. If you'd rather just write stuff down in a notebook or on a calendar, that's fine too. We really just want you to do whatever works for you so that we can see those eventually. There are some different software options that are out there. There's some private ones that I've heard of people using. I don't know exactly what any of those are called. Has anybody used ODark in the past? That was from down in Oregon. They developed that for dairies in particular. I think their CAFO program developed that as a record-keeping tool. It's no longer called ODark. If you try to search for ODark, you won't find it. And it has this goofy web address. It's nmpt.online. There's no .com or anything in there. So it's kind of hard to find, but I encourage you to check that out. And there's also now a new application form that Corina has developed that she's going to get up here and talk to you a little bit about. So I encourage you to check that out as well, for keeping track of applications. But really, any way you want to keep your records, it's just fine with us. It's just keeping those records is what's important. All right, so here's just a quick back of the envelope kind of calculation I did just to show how this can hopefully benefit you and why you might want to do that. It's not just a requirement. So this really can save you some money. So this is back at those records I looked at from earlier. These are 3 different ponds on the same farm on the same day. So if you only had one of these tests, let's say you've got a 40-acre field that you've calculated needs for, you want to put 200 pounds of ammonium nitrogen on there, and ballpark that it's going to cost you about a penny a gallon to pump that out in the field. So if you're using this nutrient test that shows you have a little over 3 pounds nitrogen per 1,000 gallons. If you do those calculations, you're going to need to put 2.6 million gallons, or about 2.4 inches of that manure onto that field. And a penny a gallon is going to cost you $25,500 roughly. On the other end of that, if you have a higher manure test, well, obviously there's twice as much nitrogen there, so you need to pump a little less than half as much, and that's like $11,000. That's like almost a $14,000 difference that you could be, if you're using this value and actually pumping stuff that's a lot richer. That's a lot of money that you don't need to be spending, and also you're really overdoing it with your nitrogen application, so you might be leaving some in the field that you don't want to. All right. So just one last thing I'll mention. Usually, if you've been to this training before, the last couple of years, you've seen Mike License kind of up here, and he's given a low lights kind of presentation of like some of the worst nutrient applications that we've seen over the past year. And the reason I didn't do that this year is because we really didn't see a lot of bad applications.
Woo-hoo!
So we do get out there while we're driving around. We use field track and like look at applications that are going on to fields and any risks that we see, any risk factors. 2019, we tracked in Whatcom County almost 400 applications. We still do see some common risk factors, and most common are inappropriate timing. So if there's a big storm coming, we'll see some stuff going on sometimes. Or inadequate setbacks, which can be hard, I think, to visualize, and it's just one that we see that's pretty common. But out of those 400 applications that we saw last year, we only had 2 that we classified as high risk, so that's really great. So you all are generally doing a really great job, and I encourage you to keep it up. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions for me, I can take them. Otherwise, turn it over to Corina.
I have to calculation of how much money you can save by applying a higher concentration. You can't just walk away from that lagoon that's got that higher concentration, so it's got to go out one way or another.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I did think about that. Like I said, that's kind of a quick calculation. I mean, another way to think about that is you can be trucking that richer stuff. You know, if you have farther away fields, I mean, you all know this already. You can take that stuff that's further, you know, the stuff you have to take farther away, take that rich stuff with you. And, yeah, you're right about that.
Who put 65,000 gallons an acre on? Those are the numbers we're working
Oh.
on.
Do you want to see that again?
On there. That same thing you talked about?
It'll be like a whole year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like an annual thing.
No.
Yeah, not one application.
Do you want to go live or your slides?
Let's. Okay, so in terms of record keeping, we do have those small spiral-bound notebooks in our office still that some of you like to use and occasionally come and get. But I also was looking into ODARC and other tools that are available, but they all cost money, and so I thought, why not a Google form? So I have created this Google form. It is a unique address that I will need to send each of you individually so that it doesn't get mixed up. So if I send you something, don't send it to your neighbor. They have to get the form from me so that they don't see your records. So what it is I would send you this link, and then you would click on it, and it'll say, do you want to make a copy? And you want to make a copy. And oh, I should preface this, you do have to have a Google account. It doesn't necessarily have to be your email, it just has to be a Google account. And hopefully, if you have a smartphone, that's great, but also if you have a computer, and this will work on a computer also. So once you open this link, it'll give you this template that I have built. And so you would change the dairy name to your own name, and in the top, I have this. So in the top web address, at the very end, it'll say edit, and that's when you are editing this form. And so you'll change the dairy name to your name. For instructions, there's a link to a PDF that I've created if you have questions on this. And then in this Google form, you also have all of the responses. So this is what you, as the dairy operator or owner, this is your template. And then what you are able to do is push the send button up here. And when you send this form out, you're sending it, oops, I want to go back. Okay, so when you push send, you can send this form out to anyone who's in the tractor applying. And so they now have this form on their phone, and it'll have, I was hoping I could get to the live. It has 10 questions, And these questions were designed using WSDA's record-keeping requirements. So you have your applicator name, just so you know who to ask if there's a question, the date of the application, the field, acreage, the crop, type of manure, the amount you're applying, and hopefully the units, depending on the type of manure. You can also track your commercial fertilizer in here, the application method, the setbacks you're using, and then here's that weather conditions, and I'll probably add plus the 24 hours prior, and then other notes. And so when they get to the bottom of this form, then they push submit, and it will go into your master. Sorry, I'm going back and forth because the internet is too slow. So it'll go back to your master form that has questions. So the questions is where you were editing earlier, and now you're clicking on responses. And it turns it into this long form that's hard to read. So you click this green button over here, and this turns it into an Excel sheet. So now with this Excel sheet, thanks for bearing with me, sorry. So now with this Excel sheet, you can see this one. So now with the Excel sheet, you can see all the responses from everybody that has been applying the manure, all that information. And then when you have your end of the season, and you can you can manipulate this data to see how much did you apply to each field. And then when the end of the year comes around, or 18 months, you have your WSDA inspection, you can go into the Excel sheet and have all your records right there. And so if you would like to use this, I will be sending out in the email following this training the link for that copy address. And then also please call the office and I can help you work through it, because I want it to be as simple as possible, but it will definitely have could have some challenges if you're not used to Google Forms. So that's what we just started. Oh, and so yeah, so Nicole just on her phone right now filled out the form, and the answer is already up on the screen. It's live data as you go, so. Okay. Cool.